Hey, Andrew Chelman here with just a few more videos in the Maschine MK2 series. I'm coming back with some new lights, new setup, and just a couple more videos to finish this series off. So at this point in time, hopefully you're pretty comfortable working on the machine, just have the workflow down and you're familiar with the hardware shortcuts. We've covered most of the things that there are to talk about, but I just want to go through a couple more things in these next videos just to sort of enhance your workflow even more and just make sure you know about these other features. So this time in this video, I'm going to talk about this pad mode button here and what we can do with that. And before we get into this further, I just want to make sure that you have the Maschine 2.2 update. That's when this pad mode button was really expanded. The features within were very expanded. So if you have that update, we'll go ahead and get started and take a look at what there is to offer. So first of all, I'm working on my drums here. I'm just going to mute some of the other groups here. We'll get rid of those so we can focus on the drums. And I want to take a look at what we can do with the choke group and the pad link options within this pad mode menu. So I'm going to go ahead and enter here and just go to lock it at the top by hitting that button up there. And we can take a look at what we have to work with. Okay, so looking up here, we have choke and link, and each of these has little sub options of group and mode. So starting with choke here, basically what this is going to allow you to have pads cut each other off. So pads in the same choke group will only be able to play once at a time. So this works best with like long samples. Maybe I'll try it with this. I'll just put this in choke group number 1 and then this in choke group number 1 as well. And then if I play these quickly one after another, you can hear that it's cutting each other off. And then in addition, if we add another sample, the same behavior will be happening there. So that's pretty self-explanatory there. The little bit interesting thing here is called the mode. You either have master or slave, and you can think of this: master is always going to cut other pads off, and slave will not cut other pads off. So it's sort of like a one-way street here. If you have everything on master, they're all going to cut each other off, but if you have one on slave, that won't cut the other pad off. It's only going to be the other way around. So kind of confusing here. Let's just start with both of these on master. They're both cutting each other off. If I turn this tom onto slave, it's not going to cut this other sample off, but if I play them the other way around, the master will cut off the slave. So there we go, we have those different ones there, and then moving to pad link, this is going to just let you play different pads by only hitting one. So if we want to have, say, these kick drums play together, they're actually already linked here because both of them are in group number 1. So by playing just one pad, both of those kicks are going to play, and I can do the other way around. Now the cool thing is we have this mode over here as well, so it's the same thing with choke group. If you turn this to slave, it won't sort of exhibit that same behavior, but the master one will. So this one will be able to play on its own since it's the slave, but the one that is back on master will control both of those. So there we go, and you also can put multiple pads, more than 2 in the same link group, so you can go ahead and work with those. I have a lot of fun using this in a live performance setting. I sort of link like a melodic sample and the corresponding bass line, but I have the bass line, the slave, so I can play that on its own. Some things to mess around with there. Maybe I'll go into a little bit more detail with that live setup in a future video. But anyways, that covers the choke group and the pad link options. And another thing I want to talk about is the keyboard mode, the scales, and the chords. And I'll go ahead and switch to a different group here. So I'll unmute these and go ahead and work with a guitar I have going here. And I want to show you how you can work with the different melodic features that came with the 2.2 update. So I already did a video on this, but I think it's worth going into more detail in this video just because it's one of the most useful features I think Maschine currently has. It really turns the pads into something much more useful than what they used to be in previous versions of Maschine. So like I said, I'm working with a guitar here, and I'm already in keyboard mode. If you don't know how to do that, just here at the top. And that's going to turn your pads into controlling one sample, one sound, but you're going to have different pitches. And I can go ahead and change the octave, as well as the semitones. And the nice thing is this screen is going to tell you the notes that you're actually playing. So by default, the scale that these pads are going to play is the chromatic scale, just going up by half steps. But the really cool thing is that we can go ahead and select different scales. So I can go ahead and select a major scale, a minor scale, and so on. There's tons of different scales to choose from. Really lots of fun to play with those. And the thing to note here is that these highlighter pads are going to be your root notes. So here's all my G's and so on. If I change the semitone, those are going to stay those notes, just going to be different pitches. And that's how you can set the key of your pads, is just by changing the semitone over here. Lots of cool stuff here. And we also have a chord option to go along with this scale. So this is going to allow you to play chords just with one pad. Then you have sort of two modes here. You have harmonic. Let's play with this one first. We have different types that you can go ahead and scroll through. I use the octave one quite a bit, just because that sort of works with a lot of things. And then we also have chord sets. So if you go ahead and scroll through here, we have different pre-recorded chords that you can play with one pad. And it tells you the chord you're going over here, and like always you can change the semitone. And you have, I think it's a total of 16 different sets, maybe 8 of each major and minor. And we go ahead and play with those. And so I use these a lot for getting sort of the background of a track, sort of using them as a melodic kit. But I normally don't really use these after I already have a song idea going, just because it's pretty hard to fit those in. But what I really like to do is turn the pads onto a scale and just improv over my track as it goes. I really recommend that you get comfortable with that, because it's so much fun to play with those and really use the Maschine as an instrument rather than just sort of a controller. So anyways, the last things I want to do are in the note repeat menu over here. I'm just going to go ahead and enter in that. And you might be familiar with using note repeat just to sort of repeat notes. Sounds a little bit obvious there, but if you're working with drums, you can use it. You can change your rate. And you have some unit options over here that you can play with. I'm not going to go into too much detail here just because it's pretty self-explanatory. But the cool thing is, if you go to a melodic patch, a melodic sound tab, and you can use the note repeat in conjunction with an arpeggio feature. So this is how you can get some arpeggios working in your project. So right now I don't have any chords enabled on the sound, so it's just going to play an arp with the pads I play. You can see up here that there's lots of things we can change. We have up, down, and different variations of those. We have rate, we have unit, that's just going to change the note, as well as sequence, octaves, dynamic, and gate. This is just going to just change the sound of your arpeggio. I'm not going to go into all these in detail because it's just something that you work with on your own projects and really figure out how they sound. What I like to do here is go ahead and go back into pad mode and enable some of the chords. And once you do this, if you go to your arpeggio, it's actually going to play an arpeggio for that chord that you selected. So really fun to sort of combine the different features in the pad mode menu and the note repeat menu and get some really nice sounds going with there. So I didn't go into much detail with the arpeggiator, but it's all right here and it's all pretty accessible. Things pretty much make sense for the most part. There's not really any hidden features. So play around with that and see what it can do with your projects. It's really helpful to get some inspiration, and as well, just like I said, playing around with the different scales, adding on top of your already existing tracks. So that covers it for this video. This is some features that relate to actually playing the pads, and like I said, it's really fun to play the Maschine as an instrument rather than just a controller. So thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next part of the series.